Good afternoon, and once again, we are Whiskey to Alpha, Alpha for Autism. This is Autism Awareness Week on amateur radio. I'm Peter, Whiskey to Juliet Victor, and I'll be hosting this session of Autism Awareness on 40 meters. Okay. Let's go to the spectrum. Okay, and let's see if the frequency is available. Turn up the volume. Now, is the frequency in use? Whiskey to Alpha. Is the frequency in use? Whiskey to Alpha. Whiskey to Alpha is the frequency in use. CQ calling CQ. CQ calling CQ. Anyone, anywhere for autism awareness. Whiskey to Alpha. W2A. CQ calling CQ. Anyone, anywhere. This is Whiskey to Alpha. W2A for Autism Awareness Week. Whiskey to Alpha. CQ calling CQ. CQ calling CQ. Learn how you can help support autism awareness by going to the Whiskey to Alpha QRZ page. W2A, CQ calling CQ. My home call is Whiskey to Juliet Victor. I'm located in Long Island, New York. Whiskey to Alpha, W2A, CQ and listening. CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ. This is Whiskey to Alpha, W2A, CQ calling CQ. CQ calling CQ, Whiskey to Alpha, W2A. CQ calling CQ, CQ calling CQ for Autism Awareness Week in Amateur Radio. This is Whiskey to Alpha, W2A. CQ calling CQ. CQ calling CQ from Whiskey to Alpha, W2A. Whiskey to Alpha listening. CQ calling CQ. CQ calling CQ. Anyone, anywhere. This is Whiskey to Alpha, W2A. CQ calling CQ. CQ calling CQ from Whiskey to Alpha, W2A. Thank you very much, Alpha Delta 4, Alpha Delta 4 Zulu Kilo. Good afternoon. My name is Peter, Pop Echo Tango Echo Romeo. I'm located in Long Island, New York. Home call Whiskey to Juliet Victor. And thank you very much for joining us on Autism Awareness Week. Our call is Whiskey to Alpha. And if you have any comments at all about autism, anyone you may know, any stories, feel free to add them or just say hello. Alpha Delta 2 Zulu Kilo W2 Alpha.
You're about 9 with a little bit of noise. I got a lot of noise.
Oh, yes, Dan. Alpha Delta 4 Zulu Kilo. Whiskey 2 Alpha W2A. Yeah, it's a noisy band today. The SFI is 112 only, and the BZ is minus 2.7, so it's kind of noisy. Again, what we're doing here, this is a special event that Amateur Radio is having for this week, Whiskey to Alpha, Alpha for Autism Awareness. And this event has been put together by a fellow by the name of James, and his call letter is KB2FMH. And James knows some people who have autism and just wanted to put this event together. He's run this event for a number of years. There's about 90 operators worldwide. And there's a QSL card available on the Whiskey to Alpha QRZ page. So essentially, we're trying to make people aware of autism and the fact that it's not a disability but a different ability. And we're trying to make people aware of that on amateur radio. How's that, Dan? Go ahead.
That sounds great. That's a good thing you're doing. I'm very familiar with autism. My wife worked in the medical field. I worked in the medical field and electronics field. And very familiar with autism. I'm not going to go into it, but you're doing a good thing, and that's what it's about. It's a different perspective. It's just like a lot of things people look at as disabilities, but they're not. A lot of those people just have, I say, see, I'm picking on them again. We're all the same. We just learn things differently and do things differently. And there's a lot of smart people out there in all. Anyway, just out of curiosity, while I got you, if you don't mind, I'm going to try to switch antennas on the next transmission. I'll get it squared away. I just put up an old antenna I had, and I'm just wondering between the two of them, which one might be better up in your area. Alpha Delta 4 Zulu Kilo, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. And Dan, yeah, I'd be more than happy to do an antenna test. My pleasure. And please, if you certainly opened up a door speaking about autism and the fact that, yes, it's just a different perspective. And there's some stories. One of the gentlemen I spoke with, his son has mild Asperger's, so he's on the spectrum, which led to learning disabilities. And he also has it, but he's at a very high functioning level and is able to control it, really. So, yes, if you have any other comments that you'd like to add, it would be my pleasure, really. And I'm also streaming on Twitch TV, which is being picked up by Facebook as well on my call sign, Whiskey 2 Juliet Victor. So it is out there for also those non-hams or those that want to follow it on Twitch TV. So let's do an antenna test, and please talk more about autism and its effects and people you may know and some of the ideas you might have. But let's do an antenna test first, Dan. Go ahead. Alpha Delta 4 Zulu Kilo, if you're ready. Whiskey 2 Alpha for autism.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm on the other antenna. This is an N bed in an L version, up about 40 feet. And the other one I had, which I just put up, is a off-center fed dipole as an inverted V. So a little bit directional on this one. The other one should not be. This one should not be. But this actually, I think, is a better signal. But autism, yeah, I've actually had people work for me that have had autism and several other different perspectives. And they're actually the best workers because they'll divulge what the problem is so you can help them and get them squared away. You just sometimes got to take time, like you do with anybody, and figure out what's the best way for things to happen. So it's really interesting. My wife and I were talking about that last night as we're sitting around watching TV in our easy chairs, and I have a niece, my sister's daughter. Yeah, I think. So, and then I know a few other people, but you can't. It's like a person that has a physical disability in a wheelchair or something. If you give them a chance, they'll go for it. If you don't give them a chance, they don't know what to do. And that's what it's all about, helping them out, showing them the right way. And it can be frustrating sometimes, as we all know that's worked with different types of people. And I do try most of the time not to put anybody in a category. It's once you get somebody as your friend, it comes natural as to how you communicate with them and what you're going to talk about, because as you do with everybody else, I mean, really, I'm going off the end here, but it's really interesting. Everybody knows something different, and we all learn different ways, and we all respond in different ways. So once us people that have been going 100 miles an hour all of our life take the time to slow down, we can see all that and realize how much we've missed. Now, I've been very fortunate that from the get-go, I've always been a slow down. I've been 100 miles an hour like at work and stuff like that, but slow down when you have to. And to be honest with you, it helps me slow down to understand. But then when you get the results from somebody who doesn't work as fast as the crazy person, they actually do a better job. AD4ZK, back to you on the bandwagon.
Oh, that's just wonderful. Wonderful, Dan. Very eloquently said and very valuable information. AD4ZK, Whiskey 2 Alpha. Before I get into responding, let me say that this antenna is a good S unit better. And we don't have any QSB on the signal, so it's not a false positive. Much better. And I think you mentioned that. You think you have a better signal on the NFED. So well done. It is one S unit stronger. And I'm glad it is, too, because this is being certainly broadcast through Twitch TV, Facebook, YouTube, and I wanted to have a good signal for you so those people could hear what you're saying. And this is the essence of what we're doing here this week. Yes, we in amateur radio sometimes are very focused on our rigs and our performance and talking with DX stations and piling up your DXCC totals. But oftentimes we don't reg chew and take the time maybe to discuss things that are not discussed and maybe things that are a little uncomfortable to discuss. I mean, I can't recall tuning around the bands and listening to someone talk about basically the spectrum of autism and the 5 different spectrum levels that autism has. So I think that what my friend James is doing, KB2FMH, is very valuable. And what you're saying is so true. It is difficult. It is easy to see someone who has a physical disability. And if you're sensitive enough, and to your point, if you take the time to talk with them and understand them a little bit, then it goes a long way. But when it comes to autism or things that are not so apparent, and someone may be acting differently and may not be communicating why they're acting differently, we have a tendency to just shun them, ignore them, criticize them, and put them aside. So what you're doing certainly is taking the time to listen. And you're so right. Those folks that have autism, many of them are very, very communicative and very eloquent and will say, listen, this is my issue, and I hope we can work through it. And you're so right. So many people that are on the spectrum are highly productive, and many of them have a very high IQ and can work at a very high level. It's just a matter of taking the time to know that there's not a disability here. It's just being different, and we all should be patient with people being different, and you certainly are, and that is just wonderful, Dan. Wonderful that you mentioned it, and certainly it's on Twitch TV, so if, hopefully many people will be listening, and it'll be passed along as time goes along. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to discuss it. Really am. So getting back to the antenna, you want to do any other antenna tests? I really like the performance of this antenna, Dan. AD4 Zulu Kilo, W2A for autism.
All right. Well, yeah, it's my pleasure. I've played around with antennas, and I'm trying to figure out something. For some reason, I can't do without 2 HF antennas at home. So I had one actually mess up, and I worked on it the other day, and I got it working, and then I didn't feel like putting it back up. It was another type of NFED that was up, and it didn't look good. My wife didn't like it running across the front of the house, in the air, of course, and I didn't like it either. It didn't look that great. So when I had an issue with it, I went ahead and took it down, and then I said, I've had this other antenna, this off-center fed dipole, in the shed for, 10 years. Let me just try it and see if it works. It does work. I think it's set up as an inverted V, but it's hanging off the tower. So it's only about 3 feet off the tower is where my support bracket is up at the top. So it's just I like to play with antennas. I need to put pictures of that up on QRZ, which I'm a member of. But yeah, you're doing a good thing. Hopefully some more people will come in and give their comments, whether they be positive or negative. And the interesting thing is, as I get older, I realize that the people that are a little slower, when I was growing up, there's nothing wrong with them, because I'm getting there now. Can't move as much, can't get around as much, you know, the arthritis and all the aches and pains and the, you know, the this and the that and all this stuff, those pills you got to take. So you slow down and you're not as see, I get tongue-tied a lot now. Before I used to be able to talk 900 miles an hour, and I think I'm down to about 200 miles an hour now. So getting older, you realize that people that are not as fast as you, there's nothing wrong with them, because my mind is still there. I still understand everything. And that's the same thing with everybody else with that is a little slow or needs to take extra time to learn something. But really, don't we all? If we haven't been taught to do something, we don't know how to do it. And I'm actually learning some of that with my grandson, who's I think 5 now. So I think he knows everything. Smartest kid on the smartest grandkid on the earth. Hi. But you think they know something, and then you have to go back and take your time and slow down. So I'm learning again. I need to not be so fast and slow down. And that's with everybody. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to get out of here. I think I've given you all my information that I got, probably too much, but you're doing a good cause. It's a good thing. People need to understand that people we name as disabilities, they're not disabled. They just have a different way of doing and learning. And that's with everybody. I don't care who you are. Society has picked groups and put people in groups, and then when you don't know about those groups, you have a negative tendency, and I don't want to be around them. It might rub off on me, or I don't want to be involved because who knows what. But anyway, that's the end of my comments. I'll listen for yours, and then I'll clear out of here. AD4 is ZK.
Dan, that's fine. 84ZK, Alpha Delta 4 Zulu Kilo, Whiskey 2 Alpha. My home call, Whiskey 2 Juliet Victor, Northport, Long Island, New York. You know, when Dan, KB2FMH, put this together, essentially, I didn't know how to approach it. I felt that, well, I do special events. I do 13 Colonies. I do K2 Heroes. I do the Christmas event. This event was event where I said, I don't know what I can contribute. Well, you know what? It's not me that's contributing. It's you that's contributing, and you that's educating me, and certainly whoever deems to fall in and listen. So, and Dan also said, rather, James also said that this is not about filling up your log. This is about information. And if you make 5 contacts and one of them happens to be a Dan, you've achieved your goal. And Dan, thank you. Because, yeah, it's not many people, it's conditions. The weather has been pretty horrendous the last few days. People are dealing with their own personal issues, with floods and winds and hurricanes and tornadoes. So I understand. And the propagation isn't that great today. The SFI is 112, but we shouldn't complain because over 100 is okay. But nevertheless, I thank you, Dan. And the more you talk, the more sense you make. And yes, we are. I mean, I grew up in the '60s, and I grew up with a parochial school system, and the nuns would say I daydreamed a lot. And I may have had problems then. But back then, of course, they didn't identify them. They said he daydreams, he wanders off, he doesn't pay attention, and that may not have been the case. Thank goodness today we have clinicians who can identify a problem, and parents are more likely to take their children, which they should, which we didn't do in the 60s. Parents would barely take us to the dentist. But today, if a child has a challenge, even an adult has a challenge, they're taken care of. I spoke with a gentleman yesterday, Dan, who grew up also in the 60s, and he had issues, but no one could identify. He turned to alcoholism to solve his problems for a while until he got the right people in front of him. So hopefully that will not happen, and people will seek help, and will realize to be different is okay. But okay, of course, we are so accustomed to looking at TV, looking at movies, and our images is created and developed by what we see, perfect people. And we think if anybody's less than perfect, then there's something wrong. We judge others very, very, very highly, and we shouldn't judge. Well, Dan, thank you. Thank you so very much. And antennas are phenomenal study, and I admire you for that. I, too, enjoy working with different wires. I like to do POTA, and with POTA, I can experiment with different types of antenna systems in a smaller environment, and it's just neat to work with low power. And I think you're using the ICOM IC7300 by your QRZ page, and the audio is what you would expect from it. So very well done. Dan, I can't thank you enough for contributing to Autism Awareness Week. And again, it's on Twitch TV and Facebook on my Facebook page. My name, Whiskey 2 Juliet Victor, and my name, you can go look in my QRZ page. Dan, thanks a lot. I'll send it back to you for any finals. But from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate your candor, honesty, and communication skills. They're great. 84ZK W2A.
W2A AD4ZK. No, I've got to thank you. And it's funny how things work in your life. Like I said, my wife and I were talking about similar types of stuff last night. And now I just came in from putting up the other antenna, turned the radio on, and I heard you put out a few calls, and I'm going, all right, let me see if my antenna's working. This guy's not doing anything. So I took advantage of you to check my antennas. But no, it's you who are bringing it out with people who either understand or don't understand. Who knows? You might get your next contact might be somebody who doesn't understand any of it and thinks everybody is stupid and, we ought to lock them away in a closet and forget about them. But it's, what do you do? And bringing it to the forefront and talking about it, in my experience in life, is much, much more, is a much better way to handle things, because now people won't be afraid and they'll open their mind up a little bit and realize, okay. And you would be surprised in my lifetime, you would be surprised how many of your friends have cousins, niece, uncles, aunts, or I'll say relatives that have an issue. And they'll never talk about it. They'll never, ever say anything about it. And they probably never go visit because we don't want it to rub, he doesn't want it, or he or she, it doesn't make any difference. They don't want it to rub off on them. So, you taking the time to get people to say something is more important than me sitting here giving you how I feel in my experiences. The more people you can get and talk to, so that's why I'm hoping there's some other people out there that would throw their 2 cents in. whether it's right or wrong, it doesn't make any difference. It's about bringing it out and letting people talk. And that's how we exist and learn more about things in this world. Anyway, 7-3s, have a great day, be safe, and good luck, and I hope you get blown up with calls. I hope you can't log them quick enough. Hi. 7-3s, and I will look at your page and check it out. I got one hand that doesn't work too well, but I did jot down the call sign and everything and where to go look for it. So W2A, this is Alpha Delta 4 Zulu Kilo.
Whiskey 3 Delta Oscar November.
Delta Oscar November, stand by. I'd like to talk with you. I'm just finishing up with Dan. Thank you. And you must be Don. Delta Oscar November. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. Dan and a Don. We'll have a Don soon. Dan, thank you. 84ZK. What we're doing here is opening doors. My last name is Portanova. In Italian, it translates back to really open doors. Porta and Nova, new door, opening up new doors. And yes, it is maybe making people more aware, their sensitivity is a little higher to maybe listen and observe. And if a person seems a little different, don't automatically put them into a box. It's easy to say there's something wrong with them and just end it there. Thank you very much, Dan. I thank you so very much. You're doing a great job. The antenna's doing a great job. And you're on Twitch TV and on Facebook. So if you want to listen to those beautiful comments and your nice signal, they will be there. 73s to you. Thanks so very, very much. And be well. And hey, enjoy the eclipse. I'll be helping out a school in Freeport, Long Island. We're doing taking down some telemetry from a balloon they're going to launch on April 8th, Monday. And hopefully we'll get some telemetry. We're helping them as radio operators to copy that telemetry. And hopefully the students with their program, their STEM program, will be able to benefit from seeing telemetry from a live project that they put together. Anyway, 73s, Dan. Thanks so very much. 73s to you. There's another station, Don, D-O-N, come on in.
Yeah, very good. Heard you guys talking about autism there. My 22-year-old grandson has autism. He lives with us, and my wife and I have been taking care of him since he was little. So anyway, I know a little about it. She knows a lot more because she takes care of him. And to me, it's just they have a different way of learning, and you just got to try to get to their level sometimes. So anyway, back to you there. Go ahead.
Yes, I didn't get your full call, Don. Could you give me your full call?
Yeah, Whiskey 3 Delta Oscar November.
There you go. Okay, you're in the books. You're in the log. And if you'd like a QSL card, and it is a nice QSL card, Don, you can go to the W2 Alpha, W2A webpage on QRZ and certainly get that information as well. Well, thank you very much for sharing certainly your grandson with autism. By the way, how old is your grandson now, Don?
He is 22, but if you'd like to talk more about autism, I'll put my wife on. She has a general class license. Her call is W3 SLP.
Yes, for sure. I would. What this is certainly about is autism awareness. And the more people we could talk with that can bring knowledge of autism. I mean, I know very little. I've had to study it to get up to speed here. But I would love, we really want to talk with people that can share some stories, share some empathy, and really teach us, because we are not only, this is not only going in and out of the air, I'm streaming on Twitch TV and Facebook. So this is, and on YouTube. So this will stay as a permanent record. So whatever information is shared will really be appreciated, and hopefully more amateur radio operators will become aware of it. So yes, Don, by all means, I'd love to talk with your wife if she's willing to discuss it a bit, and knowledge that she's going to be also on Twitch TV, one of the social platforms that I stream amateur radio on. And you can log into it now if you'd like. W2JV is my home call on the Twitch TV channel. So back over to you, Don, W3DON, W2A.
All right, very good. Let me put her on here, and you can ask her some questions, and she can give you her take on it, because she's been taking care of him, like I said, for good many years. So hang on, let me get her on the air. Her call is Whiskey 3, Sharon Lima Papa, and her name is Sharon. So let me get the headset transferred over to her and she can get on the air.
Whiskey 3, Sierra Lima Papa.
Roger, Sharon. Whiskey 3, Sierra Lima Papa, Sierra Lima Papa. Sharon, your strong signal, nice audio as well, and thank you so much for your time on this subject of autism. I really would appreciate it. One of my first questions, Sharon, my name is Peter, is I know there are 5 disorders on the autism spectrum, and what type of study went into just finding out about which area of the spectrum your grandson is on, and was he diagnosed pretty quickly when he was young? Go ahead.
Yeah, he was around 6-year-old when he was diagnosed with it. It has to do with all the senses, the 5 senses, and it's more of a learning experience for, us who take care of him. It's a more of a learning experience. As time goes on, you know what it's like, his likes is, and what his dislikes are. Every day is a new experience, but it all has to do with taste, smell, touch. There's a lot of things that sensory issues. There's things that smells get to him. There's a lot of stuff he can't stand to smell. Taste. He's a very picky eater. There's a lot of things that he will, if he looks at it, he'll tell you, I'm not even going to touch it because it doesn't look good. He won't even try it. But it has a lot to do with sensory issues.
Roger, W3 SLP, Whiskey 2A for autism awareness. Yes, that's very interesting. And what I will take from that is certainly many people with autism, and I don't want to put everybody in the same bucket, but many people operate at a very high level. Now, it could be at any level. It could be their IQ. I know that one gentleman I spoke with has an IQ 168. He channels his challenge in some very positive ways, amateur radio being one of them. And probably, I'm guessing with your grandson, his sensory synapses are operating at a very high level. For instance, he has, now I may be wrong, but I'm thinking he may have the smell of a cat. Now, I mean that in a positive way. We have cats, and they're incredible. Their hearing, their smell. I'll put some lotion on my hands, and immediately he'll smell my hand and he'll run away. I would bet that your grandson, and I'd like to know his name as well, probably operates at a very, very high level in those issues, and that's probably how it's being manifested. I'm guessing, Sharon. Go ahead.
Yep, that's him. You're downstairs. If you're making something for supper that doesn't smell good to him, he'll say, "Ew, what's that smell?" Anybody who I swear, he can smell smoke 2 miles away from somebody smoking. And if he does, the first thing he starts doing is he'll start choking and gagging. It's because of the smell of the cigarettes. Yeah, it's in lotions, anything like that. And his name is Kevin.
His name is Kevin. That's great. I love that name. And he was diagnosed at 6 years old. Now, my first guess is, gee, that seems late. Why wasn't he diagnosed at 2 or 3? Did this come out when he was 6, first develop, or did he have it and it was undiagnosed, Sharon?
Yeah, he had it and he was undiagnosed until he was 6 when we started noticing his odd behaviors and stuff. Like when he was first born, he couldn't even enjoy his first 3 weeks, his first 3 years of Christmases because he was sick, a lot of sick. He had asthma real bad. He was born with asthma real bad, and yeah, there was just things. His sleep, he didn't want to sleep. It was like we had to take turns staying up, because we'd have to take turns staying up and going to sleep with him because his sleep issue was just bad. But yeah, he didn't get diagnosed till he was like 6 years old. We had no idea.
Thank you for that. W3SLP Sierra Lima Papa, Whiskey 2 Alpha, for Autism Awareness Week on Amateur Radio. And if you want to learn more about autism, you can go to the W2A, Whiskey 2 Alpha QRZ page and learn how you can support autism awareness and help families dealing with autism. You may know someone that has an issue, that has a challenge out there, but may not have taken the time to really understand it or ask questions about it. Sharon, that's just great. One of the things, God bless you for being so patient. I'm sure with Kevin, the patience is just enormous. And it's something that at times, of course, patience runs out, but it is just a heavenly blessing to be able to do that and to work with your grandson. I know my parents had a challenge with their grandson, my nephew, and their parents really couldn't handle it that well. And he would spend most of his time in our garage on the floor with his toys quietly because he couldn't take loud sounds and a lot of commotion. And he was there with his models, and he operates at a very, very high level. And he was there calmly, and my parents were just so patient. Grandparents usually are, aren't they? And was able to really help him until he got help further on along the way, really. So it's great. Now, Sharon, is Kevin going to a special school? Do they have to do that, or can he go to a normal school where people can work with him? Or he does well, he's 6 years old, right? So he's basically, he may have just started first grade, but does he have to go through special education? Is he homeschooled? How is that being handled, Sharon? Go ahead.
When he was 6 years old, yeah, we had to put him in a special school. Actually, he graduated from high school.
Oh, that's right, because now he's 22 years old. So he graduated from a normal high school, Sharon, correct?
No, he did not. We had to do a cyber school for him because where we were, the school district did not understand how to help autism kids, how to educate them. When he was in school, when he'd have a breakdown, instead of just leaving him alone and let him go through what his mind was going through, they wanted to call the cops on him and have him arrested. It was a big... he wasn't violent to nobody. It's just when they get things in their mind, they need to just grow up. So whatever's going through their mind, they can go through it themselves, and then he would be fine. He was never violent with nobody, but they just... he'd just come out of the room and sit down and curl up in a ball, and they want to call a cop on him right away. Well, when I sent him there, I was under the impression they understood how to take care of autism children, and they did not. So after we just got to the point, I said, no, they would call me every other day, come pick him up, take him home. We don't want him here. Twice they let him walk out of his school, an autism teenager, they let him walk out of school, and he didn't know where he was, and I called them, where is he? We don't know. So we had to go in the car and find him. So I had enough. So, yeah, we put him in cyber school, and he excelled in there, and he went on to graduate. So, yeah, if you don't have him in the right school district, they're not going to excel. That's W3SLP.
Thank you, Sharon. W3SLP, W2A, A for Autism Awareness. We're conducting a special event this week on autism awareness, and Sharon and Don are really adding phenomenal amount of information to this special event. Sharon, yeah, it is a shame. The school system, when it comes to challenges, you would think, but and maybe in a perfect world, that every school, at minimum, like having a fire extinguisher in place, would also have someone who is educated on the subject and can handle and can deal with with different students. But it happens so often. It's budgets, it's the education level, it's getting the people that are talented to do it. But clearly, and that is the only alternative to really, rather than have your grandson certainly being put in a very vulnerable position. But thank you, phenomenal, for doing that, for putting him in a safe place. And I would hope, I would hope that no school, no matter where it's located, Oshkosh or Midtown Manhattan, can really have the ability to do this and to be able to handle it. So every child, won't feel as if they have to go to a special place. It's difficult just being a child with difficulty, and it's just listening to people. I remember in high school I took a special credit course at a hospital for disabled people, and at first you would see them and it would upset you, but then when you would sit them down, put them in a wheelchair, wheel them out, and get them one-on-one, you start to talk to them and realize they're people too, and they're just different, but they may express things in a different way, may look differently, may walk differently, may have a different expression on their face, but they deserve a break too, and they deserve the time. Sharon, I can't thank you enough for the time you spent. It just is phenomenal. This is like 100 contacts with your one contact, and thank you so much for taking the time, Sharon. Is there anything that you'd like to add to tell people that may be around people with autism and not handling it correctly? Anything at all that you'd like to add? W3SLP, thanks for the time, Sharon. W2A.
Yes, I just want everybody to know, if you are around somebody with autism, please just be patient with them. You got to understand them. They don't think like we do. So you have to have more patience. And if you have the patience, you'll come to find out that actually they're enjoyable to be around. And a lot of people don't know this, but they're actually smarter than sometimes we are. But just be patient with them. You got to have especially a lot of love and patience what you need to give them. Thank you so much for having me on and allowing me to talk about this. W3SLP.
Thank you very much, Sharon. W3SLP. With on board also with Don, DON. Thank you, Sharon. I can't thank you enough. You're blessed, and you will be blessed, and good things will happen to you because we believe in karma, and what you're doing for your grandson and how you've really developed him to help develop him has been phenomenal. And yes, that's the word. It's a challenge, and just be patient and understand that they have a place in life too, and they have a place here as well. Their seat in life is no greater than is equal to ours. Is the point I'm making? It's not as if they should be put back. Thank you, Sharon. Thanks for the time, and I really, really appreciate it. And this is on Twitch TV, as I said, my call sign. If you go to my home station, W2JV on QRZ, you'll see my link to Twitch if you'd like to listen to other folks talk about this. And I'm so glad that we've had a number of people that are talking about this and are opening a door on this subject to amateur radio. Thank you so very much, Sharon. 73s to you. And Don, you get on the air and I can say 73s to you for putting Sharon on. Sharon, have a great weekend. And thank you so very much for the time. You're an angel. 73s, Sharon.
Thank you. 73 to you. W3SLP. Now I'll put W3DON back on.
Isn't that wonderful?
Whiskey 3, Delta Oscar November.
Thank you, Don. Whiskey 3, Delta Oscar November. Don, Sharon is a wonderful, wonderful woman. I know you're a lucky guy, and to be able to give is everything in life, and she's a giver, and as well as you. Don, thank you so much. You can tie it up with the final comments, but thanks for putting Sharon on. I really appreciate that. W3DON, W2A.
Well, that's right up her alley, because like I said, she's been taking care of him for a while, and I know I know we just had to take him over to an appointment in York on Tuesday there and all that rain and stuff, and anyway, but yeah, very good. Yeah, I am lucky. Her and I've been together since we were 16 years old, and we're We're both 65 this year and going to have our 46th wedding anniversary, so there you go. Anyway, what did you say we could listen to that on again, and what was the call?
Yes, go to my QRZ page, Don, Whiskey 2 Juliet Victor, W2JV, and the link to Twitch TV will be there. Did you copy that, Don?
Okay, W2JV. All right, very good. And I'll get that looked up there on QRZ there, W2JV. And yeah, very good. All right, I'll let you carry on and see if you can get some more people in there. And thanks for what you're doing for autism, all you guys. And we appreciate it very much. And I'll say 7-3 and let you get on to somebody else there. This is Whiskey 3 Delta Oscar November 7-3.
Thanks, Don. Whiskey 3 Delta Oscar November with Whiskey 3 Sierra Lima Papa. Together since you were 16 years old and 46 years married. Congratulations. You did well. You did well, both of you. And being together and then taking care of Kevin has been phenomenal. What a life. What a life lived. Well, life lived. Thank you very much, guys, for sharing that with me. I really appreciate that. Best of 73s to you. And there's a QSL card available on W2A, the W2A site, Whiskey 2A, which is located on the QRZ page. 73s, guys. Then thanks a million, Don. Thanks, Sharon. Really treasured this contact, 73s. Don't know if anybody else is there. I've just finished up with tooth surgery. I don't need to hear my complaints, but there's a little bit of pain involved here. But I'm happy to do this. It's worthwhile. It's only going to be until Monday. Whiskey 2 Alpha, W2A, Autism Awareness, QRZ. Kilo 4, a little bit weak, but let me see. Kilo 4, go ahead again. Roger, Kilo 4, Oscar, Golf, Oscar. Thank you. Good afternoon, Walt. A little weak, about a 4 and 2, but I heard you. Just want to say hello to you. Welcome aboard to the Whiskey 2 Autism train, and thanks for joining me. Over to you. K4OGO, Whiskey 2 Alpha. My name is Peter, Pop Echo, Tango Echo, Romeo. Go ahead, Walter.
Hey, thank you so much, Peter, and thanks for what you're doing. It means a lot to me as well. I'm just 5 watts QRP here in the Norfolk, Virginia harbor, and I've been listening to you guys. Great QSOs there, and it's been wonderful listening in on you. Just curious as what your QTH is.
Well, that's just great. Yeah, your signal came up a little bit. Walter, do you know someone who is affected by autism?
I'm a grandfather of someone who's affected.
Yes, you said it's your son that's affected?
Grandson's on the spectrum.
Grandson is on the spectrum. Well, thank you very, very much. Got you from the harbor. You sounding okay. I appreciate you logging in. And thank you very much for your comments, Walter. I really appreciate that. And hopefully, as I said, the door is wide open for people to be more aware of the challenge of people on the spectrum with autism. Thanks, Walter. 5 watts is doing a good job. You came up to a 5 and 4. 73s, Walter. Have a wonderful day.
Hey, thank you so much. Real quick before you go, what is your QTH if you don't mind?
I don't mind. Northport, Long Island, New York, about 50 miles east of New York City in a town called Northport. Go ahead.
Hey, QSL, I'll let you take some other calls. And once again, thank you so much for what you're doing. All the best in 73, my friend.
Walter, my pleasure. 5 watts is doing a great job. Thank you very much for the contact. Thank you for stopping in. And good luck to your grandson. And we all know it's all about having patience with these individuals that have this challenge. 73s. QRZ, Whiskey 2A. Okay, we're going to go QRT now for a while. I've got to take care of my tooth, got to gargle a little bit, and then we'll be back on. But this has been just a wonderful, wonderful time with all of you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Walter, really, for your time, and I really do appreciate that. And Vin also, good speaking with you as well. 73s, and there's a tune here I'm going to play. It is basically, the tune is an autism created. This was created by someone who has autism, and it's called On the Spectrum. This is Whiskey 2 Alpha, home call Whiskey 2 Juliet Victor, W2JV. Of course, you can't hear this song in amateur radio. We don't allow that. But if you want to listen to Twitch TV, it's a beautiful theme. Very nice sounding music called On the Spectrum. 73s, everybody. Catch you again soon. '73s, everybody. Thanks.